All right, episode 39 of True Sports is on the air. Taylor Phillips, he's Lewis Tenor. How are we doing tonight?
We're doing good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So, MLB spring training has begun. It began yesterday. Um, it's back. Baseball is back.
Yeah. And we already got some problems with the new rules in place. What a shock.
Well, people complain too much. That's the problem with
Yeah.
society.
Well, that's true. But
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't. Yeah, but we knew it was going to be problems. Especially in the beginning of spring training, how the new rules work with the pitch clock, etc., etc. So you knew it wasn't going to be perfect. I mean, I.
No, no, nothing is perfect in anyone's eyes. But you know what? I'm
Right.
cool with it.
So am I. Yeah.
Yep. So I think it'll work out. I think that pitch clock will
Absolutely.
work out.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that being said, let's take a look at the NHL playoff race. The Red Wings got blanked by the Lightning 3-0. Andrei Vasilevsky with
Ooh,
45 saves last night. That's the main story. I'll just leave it at that.
right.
It does put a little dent in the Red Wings playoff chase, but they're still within 3 points of the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2 spots away. Penguins 67 points, the Red Wings 64. The Devils 83. Your Devils and Rangers. Devils 83 points, second place in the Metro. 77 points for the Rangers, third place in the Metro. The Hurricanes still lead the Metro at 86 points. Of course, the Lightning maintain their third place spot in the Atlantic with 78, moving up to 78 points behind the Maple Leafs at 82 and the Bruins at 95. The Red Wings are now in a three-way tie in points with the Florida Panthers and Washington Capitals at 64 points. The Ottawa Senators, the Red Wings play back-to-back games in Ottawa tomorrow and Tuesday, both at 7, obviously at Canadian Tire Center
It's kind of odd.
against
This
the
time of year.
Senators. The Senators are 60 points. Flyers 56, the Canadians 54. Blue Jackets are out of it at 44 already, but
Uh,
is the NHL trade deadline this Thursday?
Friday, actually. Friday at 3
Friday,
o'clock.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just less than 5 days away.
Yeah. If you ask me, though, I think it's kind of strange that they have it after the NBA trade deadline because, you know, the NHL starts like about 2 weeks sooner than the NBA. They play their All Star game quicker than the NBA, so I wonder why their trade deadline is later. I find that kind of weird.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why. There's got to be a reason why. It's
I,
yeah, it's got to be because it's got to be in chronological order.
right.
And then you got the Western Conference. Um, Man, the Seattle Kraken. What's happened to the Seattle Kraken? They were second place in the Pacific, but now they're in the second wild card spot at 70 points.
Uh,
They must be slumping.
they are. They're still rather a new team, so you gotta give them a little bit of that. They're still a bit of an inexperienced team, so I
Oh,
think it's
right, right. They
still
can't give up. They got to hang on.
yeah. But still, to make the playoffs in only your second year of existence, I think is quite remarkable.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Much like the Vegas Golden Knights making it to the Stanley Cup final, winning one game against the Capitals in the Cup final. That is an understatement as well. In an
True,
inaugural season.
true, but remember, they've also had a lot of other experienced players who've won Stanley Cups before, and they brought that experience with them for this so-called new expansion team. It may be a new expansion team, but the players are seasoned pros and knew the
Take,
game.
t- yeah, and take the Columbus Blue Jackets for example. Rick Nash for the Rick Nash used to play for the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
He was a veteran. He was an all-star. Yeah, the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators are creeping up.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Blues are 7 points away from those Predators. So I think it's going to come down to the Flames and Predators and Kraken and Winnipeg Jets, who have 71 points. Flames 66, Preds 44. The Central Division's tight. Stars, Wild, Avalanche 74, 72, 71. The defending Cup champs, third place in the Central. But for the lottery picks, Blue Jackets are in line with the Coyotes, Sharks, Blackhawks, and Ducks. And the Blue Jackets hold the number one overall lottery pick, 1 point behind, 1 point lower than the Ducks, 44 to 45. And then you got the NBA standings. Yeah, Pistons keep losing 15, 15, and 46. You don't even have to cover your mouth about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're still third. Sure enough, they're still in the third lottery pick spot behind the San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets. Still, yeah, they got. I mean, I do like the acquirement of James Wiseman. He's okay. He can rebound. He's a center, and he can score. I believe he was a backup center for the Warriors before he was traded to the Pistons in a 4-team trade. But yeah, there's this playoff play-in tournament for seeds 7 through 10 in the Western and Eastern conferences. I still find that intriguing. I like that.
The Nets want to keep it up. They got to start winning games because since they started training their players, they've been on a downward spiral. They were once second in the conference, and now they're slipping down to maybe a fifth or maybe even sixth. The Knicks
Fifth.
catch them by tomorrow.
Fifth.
So far, but they're drowning.
Yeah, yeah. The Nets are in fifth, and the Knicks are in sixth, but one game apart. Just one
Yep.
game apart. Well, actually check that. Both the Nets and Knicks are 9.5 back at first in the East with the Celtics, but the Brooklyn Nets hold the tiebreaker at 34-26, 34-26 compared to the Knicks at 35 and 27. Nets 567 winning percentage, the Knicks 565. So yeah, of course we can.
Well, the thing,
Yeah, it's
well, the
it,
thing, see, because the Nets have lost like 4 of the last 5, and the Knicks have won now 5 in a row, so they're going in opposite directions.
yeah. So yeah, the Knicks are on the rise. The Nets are in what you mentioned as the downward spiral.
Yes.
First place, very very tight battle between the Celtics and Bucks. The Bucks are catching up. The Greek Freak, Drew Holiday and
Yep.
company. Kevin Love to the Miami Heat. The Heat, 32 and 29. The first of the 4 play-in tournament seeds, 32 and 29. Yeah, he's helping. He's helping them all right.
Yeah, and the winning streak is unbelievable. Ugh.
Yep. And then you got the West. The Golden State Warriors, 7th place, 30 and 30. They're catching up.
Gotten better.
Yeah. Yeah, they're making a statement that they're ready to defend their title.
Yeah, but it's still a far cry from last year.
Yeah, which they won. So
I know.
the Denver Nuggets, 42 and 19. Yeah, they're unstoppable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Grizzlies 5 games back. Nuggets are going to take the West. So, it's a very tight play-in tournament scrum between the Warriors, Timberwolves, Jazz, and Pelicans. Both the no, not both, but all the Warriors, Timberwolves, Jazz are all 11.5 back at first.
Hmm.
They're all 500. Golden State 30-30. Minnesota and Utah 31-31 each. The Pelicans 30-31. A 492 winning percentage, 12 back at first. But the 3 more teams that are very, very close to that play-in tournament. The Los Angeles Lakers, 29-32, 475. Portland Trailblazers, 28-31, 475 winning percentage. Lakers hold the tiebreaker by record, and not record over winning percentage. I guess it can go either way. Spurs 14. No, not Spurs. Never mind. The Oklahoma City Thunder, 28-32, 13.5 games back, 467 winning percentage. So it's a 7-way battle for that play-in tournament of the Western Conference. That should be damn interesting.
I find it interesting.
Yeah, keep your eyes on them.
I will.
Yeah. Well, it's time for your True Sports Report. Go ahead.
Away we go. All right. I think I'll start off with the smaller scores first. Starting off with the other football league, you people call it the XFL, as San Antonio beat Orlando today 30-12, and Houston beat Arlington 23-14 as the league concluded its second week of the season. And yes, it's still here. How about that? Unreal. But I wonder how much longer it's going to last from that, because this league is, off to a mediocre start. What can I say? We just got another score that got finished here in the MLS department as Seattle shut out the Seattle Sounders, went to the Colorado Rapids 4-0. So we took care of that. Now go on to say, anybody wants some exhibition baseball? I've got your scores right here. On the second full day of spring training games, and the scores go like this. Now keep in mind, some of these teams played 2 games because they had split squads. So if you're thinking I repeat stuff and I'm crazy, no. So here we go. In the first game with the Yankees, they blanked the Braves 7-0. The Nationals beat the Astros 3-2. The Red Sox over the Rays 7-6. The Orioles over the Tigers 10-6. Phillies over the Twins 10-8. The second Yankee game had the Yankees beat the Blue Jays 9-5. Cardinals over the Marlins 8-2. The Mets doubled up on the Nationals 6-3. Oh well. Dodgers over the Cubs 9-4. Giants over the Reds 7-6. Royals get past the Mariners 8-7. Rangers over the Guardians 13-4. We used to call them the Indians. Angels over the White Sox 7-0. Rockies doubled up on the Brewers 12-6. The A's over the Brewers 11-4. How's this one for a laugh? For the Padres clobbered the D-backs 18-6. Okay, now it's spring training, so go figure. So on to tomorrow's schedule. Monday should be a lighter schedule, as it usually is even in preseason. So here we go. Oh, maybe not. So your 1:00 games, or 1:05 games are the Mets taking on the Cardinals. 1:05 is the Marlins taking on the Astros. The Twins taking on the Red Sox. The Phillies taking on the Pirates. The Rays taking on the Orioles. The Blue Jays taking on the Braves. 3:05 games. Guardians take on the Cubs. Rockies take on the A's. Brewers take on the Royals. The Mariners take on the White Sox. Rangers take on the Reds. 3:10. Cubs take on the D-backs. Giants take on the Angels. The Dodgers take on the Padres. And your 6:35 game, your Tigers take on my Yankees. Oh, great. It's only preseason though. But, but we just thought, hey, baseball's back, so why not? All right, so now over to the NBA. We got a couple games in progress. Right now, the Blazers are leading the Rockets 73-58 at the half. Just getting started. The Nuggets are beating the Clippers 6-0. Just getting underway. All the rest are finals as the Bucks beat the Suns 104-101. The Hawks beat the Nets at the buzzer 129-127. I'm disgusted. Bulls over the Warriors 102-82. The Lakers hold up the Mavericks 111-108. The Cavaliers over the Raptors 118-93. The Kings over the Thunder 124-115. The Warriors get by the Wolves 109-104. That game just finished up. All right, so tomorrow's schedule goes like this. So for tomorrow, we have a few games in progress going underway. The Pistons take on the Hornets. The Heat take on the Sixers. Oh boy, the Celtics take on the Knicks. That's a 7:30 game. And the Magic take on the Pelicans at 8. By the way, the Pistons, Hornets, and Heat Sixers are 7 o'clock games. So we'll take a look at the standings. Again, it goes down this way. As we're getting into almost March now, with only about 6 or 7 weeks to go in the regular season. And it goes this way. As we mentioned, it's a tight race in the Eastern Conference between the Celtics and the Bucks. The Celtics are 44-17, a half game ahead of the Bucks at 43-17, and the Celtics had a wild win last night. Oh boy. Sixers are 4 back at 39-20. The Cavaliers are 39-25, 6.5 back. 9.5 back are the Nets at 34-26. Just behind them are the Knicks at 35-27. On the outside, looking at the play-in race, the Heat are 32-29, 12 back. The Hawks 31-30, 13 back. The Raptors are 30-32, 14.5 back, and the Wizards 28-32, 15.5 back. On the outside looking in, the Bulls are 26-33, 16 back. The Pacers 27 back, 27-35, 17.5 back. The Magic 25-36, 19 back. The Hornets 19-43, 25.5 back. And the Pistons bringing up the rear at 15-46, 29 back. Sorry. Down in the West, the Nuggets have a decent-sized lead right now at 42-19, a 5-game lead over the Grizzlies at 36-23. But don't count that night yet, folks. This might be a sleeper. Kings, most improved team of the year, 35-25, 6.5 back. The Suns, 33-29, 9.5 back. Along with the Clippers at 33-29, 9.5 back. The Mavericks, 32-30, 10.5 back. The Warriors are 31-30, 11 back, thanks to that win. Jazz, 31-31, 11.5 back. At 12 back are the Wolves at 31-32, and the Pelicans are 12 back, but they are 30-31. Lakers are on the outside looking at 29-32, 13 back. Blazers, 28-31, also 13 back. The Thunder, 28-32, 13.5 back. And definitely out of the race by now, the Spurs at 14-47, 28 back. And the Rockets rounded at 13-46, 28 back. Forget it. They're going nowhere. All right, to the NHL. Sabres over the Capitals, 7-4. Wild over the Blue Jackets, 3-2 in overtime. The Islanders blank the Jets, 4-0. The Rangers break their 4-game losing streak, 5-2 over the Kings, thank goodness. getting really worried there. The Penguins over the Lightning 7-3. The Predators over the Coyotes 6-2. And the Leafs over the Kraken 5-1. All right, so we'll check tomorrow's schedule, and it goes this way. And they're coming up on their end of the season too. All right, so your Red Wings will take on the Senators at 7. At 8:30, we have a pair of games. The Canucks take on the Stars, and the Bruins take on the Oilers. 9 o'clock, the Knights take on the Avalanche, and at 10, the Blackhawks take on the Ducks. So we go to the standings now, as this race is heating up as well. And are they ever? In the Atlantic, the Bruins are 45, 8-5 at 95 points. Oh, that's horrible. The Leafs, 37, 15, and 8, 82 points. The Lightning are at 78 points at 37, 16, and 4. The Sabres, 31, 23, and 4, 66 points. Your Red Wings, 28, 22, and 6, 64 points. Panthers are 29, 26, and 6, 64 points. Senators, 60 points at 28, 26, and 4. Canadians, 25, 30, and 4, 54 points. And takes care of that one. To the Metro, the Hurricanes, 39, 11, and 8, 86 points. Devils, not that far behind, at 83 points at 39, 15, and 5. Rangers, well, they slipped back a little bit, but still are in decent shape at 34, 17, and 9, 77 points. Islanders, 31, 25, and 7, 69 points. The Pens, 29, 21, and 9, 67 points. Capitals, 64 points at 29, 27, and 6. The Flyers, 23, 28, and 10, 56 points. And the Blue Jackets, 19, 35, and 6, 44 points. Well. To the Central, the Western Conference, the Stars, 31, 16, and 12, 74 points. That's a lot of overtime losses. The Wild, 33, 21, and 6, 72 points. Avalanche, 33, 19, and 5, 71 points. Also 71 points to the Jets at 35, 24, and 1. The Predators, 29, 22, and 6, 64 points. The Blues, 26, 28, and 5, 57 points. The Coyotes, 20, 30, and 9, 47 points. And the Blackhawks, 21, 32, and 5, 47 points. I thought they were going to be much better this year. To the Pacific, the Golden Knights, 35, 18, and 6, 76 points. Kings, 33, 20, and 8, 74 points. Oilers, 72 points, 32, 20, and 8. Kraken, 32, 31, and 6, 70 points. Flames, 27, 21, and 12, 66 points. Canucks, 51 points, 23, 31, and 5, 51 points. The Sharks, 18, 30, and 12, 46 points. And 45 points are the Ducks at 19, 34, and 7. Okay. All right, so on to the news now of the day. And we'll start right here. All right, first up, Quinn Snyder agreed to a 5-year deal to coach the Atlanta Hawks. And it is expected to make his coaching debut against the Wizards on Tuesday. That just came about a short time ago. The Hawks started pursuing the pursuit for Snyder after the firing of Nate McMillan back on Tuesday, and landed a long-term deal with a coach that took the Jazz beyond the first round of the playoffs 3 times before ending his run at the end of the season. The move will take the Hawks. The move to take over the Hawks is rooted in both the desire to make a deep run in the playoffs, we think, and give Snyder the chance to implement his programs and standards and evaluate the players on its way to the offseason. Snyder and guard Trae Young both expressed excitement about working together, and that the partnership will go a long way in working together to determine the success of the franchise. Snyder has a long history of constructing relationships with his players while coaching them. If only all coaches can do that. The New Jersey Devils made a trade today as they acquired Timo Meyer from the Sharks. Sourcing from ESPN today. Meyer is a restricted free agent with a $10 million qualifying offer, according to a source. The trade of the Devils does not include, though, an extension, as the Devils are comfortable with using him as a rental and then see if a long-term deal is possible. Mayer has 31 goals and 52 points on a club that was playing out the string. He was held out of the Sharks practice on February 9th due to an upper body injury and has not played since. The Devils have only made the playoffs once in the last 9 seasons and have been under rebuild in recent years and are 1 year ahead of schedule. Right now, the Devils have 83 points with 23 games left to play and are second in the Metro Division, only behind the Carolina Hurricanes. And I know somebody is happy about that. All right, speaking of teams that are trying to make the playoffs, the Buffalo Sabres push to the playoffs took a detour yesterday when the top-line defenseman Rasmus Dahlin and forward Alex Tuch were ruled out against the Capitals. Tuch was placed on injured reserve and will miss 2 weeks with a lower body injury, said General Manager Kevin Adams. Dahlin is a Norris Trophy candidate and is considered day-to-day as he rests an injury that he has been playing through the season. The old playing with the pain routine. Okay. When reviewing the nature of the injuries, Adams said that Tuch does not require surgery and might be able to make a return before the regular season is over. So it's kind of good news, bad news. The St. Louis Blues traded winger Ivan Barbashev to the Vegas Golden Knights in a move that features 2 teams going in the opposite directions. In return, the Blues pick up prospect Zach Dean, a first-round pick in the 2021 draft. He picked up 24 goals in 50 games for the QMJHL, which I think is based in Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. Finding a two-way top-9 player became a priority when the Knights announced on February 1st that captain of winger Mark Stone underwent a second surgery on his back in less than a year. 1 year is bad enough. Stone, who was ruled out on June 12th, was ruled out indefinitely, with the team moving to his long-term injured reserve, sending Stone his $9.5 million cap hit to a long-term injured reserve, in addition to trading Shane Weber's contract, gives the Knights cap space to make a roster move. Vegas is 7-5-4 in his absence, but have now won 6 of their last 8 games. Barbashev has 10 goals and 29 assists in 59 games so far this season. Whew. Tough break. Well, the Greek Freak sat out today's game against the Suns as he was faced with a quad injury. That's said by Mike Budenholzer. Giannis sustained the injury in Friday's win over the Heat. He only had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, and only played 6 minutes, which is low for him. It was enough to keep him out of today's game, but I think we were confident enough that this is a fair common occurrence in the league. The Bucks are riding the longest winning streak in the league at 13 games. Now at 14. Oh boy. When you're hot, you're hot. The San Jose Sharks retired the jersey of Patrick Marleau, and that's the first in team history. It was so surreal, Marleau said in a ceremony before their game against the Blackhawks. It flashes right before your eyes that everything I did has led up to this moment. I was so appreciative of it. It went so well in a career. I had the support. It all flashed right before me, and it all paid off. The weekend celebration was capped by the ceremony that featured about 24 former teammates, video tributes by former coaches, and even by former Bay Area greats such as Raleigh Fingers, Barry Bonds, and Chris Mullin. Marleau set franchise records and also set the NHL record by playing in 1,779 games, breaking the previous record of 1,767 games by Mr. Hockey himself, Gordie Howe. Now that says something. Blackhawks right winger Patrick Kane left the team ahead of last night's game against the Sharks and returned to Chicago. The team announced yesterday. Kane's departure is sure to reignite speculation of his likely trade to the Rangers, who are considered to be the favorites to land him ahead of Friday's trade deadline. Oh, I hope, I hope, I hope. Given the interest between Kane and the Rangers, there has been a surge of momentum toward a possible deal, sources told ESPN. It comes with Kane becoming an unrestricted free agent that has a no movement clause, meaning the Blackhawks would have to accept whatever the Rangers are willing to offer him. The Rangers will also make a move as they sent forward Mikhail Karsavov to the Canucks for forward Will Lockwood as a 7th-round pick in the 2026 draft. The move cleared $875,000 in cap space for the Rangers while landing a draft asset. The Rangers are still looking for a third-party broker to retain part of Kane's salary to help cover the cost of Kane's $10.5 million cap hit. Well, good players don't come cheap, you know. All right, well, this might be inspiring for the week. We'll see how this goes. Michigan State Spartans basketball coach Tom Izzo gazed into the crowd with tears in his eyes as the Spartans returned to their home court for the first time since the mass shooting took place on campus nearly 2 weeks ago. It was one of those moments where Izzo said, "I'm a lucky guy," he said to himself. "I hope I can come through for you." And the Spartans did come through with a home win. Tyson Walker shook off a slow start by scoring 23 points, lifting the Spartans to a 15-point victory coming 8 days after the tragedy. Walker started making three-pointers after an 0-4 start from the field and were led by double digits for most of the second half. Izzo's teams played great. The Indiana coach Mike Woodson said they force you to play hard. If you can't face that, you definitely will lose. The Hoosiers relied on Trace Jackson Davis and scored 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. Michigan State had their previous home game against Minnesota postponed after the shooting and resumed playing last Saturday and lost to their state rival, the Michigan Wolverines.
What a shot by Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah. Ooh. The victims, survivors, and first responders were honored Tuesday night in a pre-game ceremony. Well, if you missed last night's ending the Sixers-Celtics game, I'm sorry. It was one you had to see to believe. The Celtics' Jason Tatum step-back three-pointer fell through the net with 1.3 seconds to go, and it looked like all the world had won the game for the Celtics. It turned to be Tatum, but just barely. Joel Embiid caught an inbound pass, and a 70-foot shot hit nothing but net on the other end, but it came a fraction of a second late. I'm like, what the? I thought that went in, to be honest with you. I'm like, I almost dropped dead.
Wow, yeah. Go
I'm
blue.
Like, I didn't believe it. Instead of sending the game to overtime, it somehow made the Sixers' loss more discouraging.
Oh, a different one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't care, Embiid said, when asked it was almost worse than if the shot went in, shining late. It did not count. But it makes a good highlight on social media. It sure does. But the shot did not count, and we end up losing the game. A very frustrating loss at that. Let's say that again. Embiid finished with 41 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists, but was not enough as the Celtics beat the Sixers for the third time this season. The Celtics have a 4-game lead in the East with 23 games left to play. The Sixers blew a 15-point lead, letting the Celtics come back in the game. That led to a 23-3 run beginning late in the third quarter that extended to the opening of the fourth quarter. Tatum finished with 18 points, 7 on 17 shooting, with 13 rebounds and 6 assists. But, on the downside of that, 5 turnovers. Get separation and make a play, is what Tatum said, and that was his thoughts on the final shot. Unreal. But that is definitely a highlight. Well, we saw a bit of history, sort of, last night in the NHL, as a goaltender scored a goal. That's right, a goaltender did score a goal. It doesn't happen that often, but it did happen last night. Bruins goaltender Linus Ullmark scored an empty goal in the third period to beat the Canucks. He made a save with a high-risk shot length of the ice to become the 13th goaltender to score a goal in league history and the first in Bruins history. He made 26 saves in the game, and this was the first time in Bruins history that a goaltender did score the goal.
I know three goalies in the past that have
Right.
scored empty net goals. Chris Osgood of the
Yep.
Red Wings, Martin
Remember that.
Brodeur of your Devils,
Yes, I saw
and
that.
I think Curtis Joseph.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that Brodeur goal against Montreal. What it
Yeah,
was.
these are
But
three tough sons of bitches, I tell you.
you can say that again. So Rene of the Predators was the last to do it in 2020. It's good to have talented goaltenders, said Coach Jim Montgomery. We try to end games. That's our mentality. It takes as much skill to chip a puck out past the red line as it does just to fire a puck into your own into your into your own net and into an empty net. Defenseman Hampus Lindholm and Brad Bouchard both scored in the first period. This is a Stanley Cup winning team, but I thought we hung in there, said Canucks coach Rick Tocchet. We played well. I'm proud of this team, even if some of the guys seemed a bit tired. Team only the 13th. All right. The Predators traded right winger Nino Niederreiter to the Jets, along with a second round pick in 2024. Both were announced yesterday. Niederreiter was signed by the Predators as a free agent to a 2-year, $8 million deal. He has 18 goals and 10 assists in 56 games for the Predators. He was acquired to bolster into what should have been a playoff contender, but are 7 points out of a playoff spot in the Western Conference. To make matters worse, they also have center Ryan Johnson for 3 months with a leg injury. Okay, adding insult to injury here. Yeah, okay. That's guard Ben Simmons. Oh boy. Missed Friday's game and blowout loss to the Bulls, and has been ruled out to at least one more game due to left knee soreness. However, he could miss more time in the near future. We are going to evaluate in about a week to see where I'm at, he told the New York Post. Simmons said he had fluid drained from his left knee and had a PRP injection before the All-Star break. The hope is that it would ease the discomfort in his knee, but after a few practices, he said the pain would flare up again. The Nets' next 3 games are what we had against the Hawks today. They'll play the Bucks on Tuesday and the surging Knicks on Wednesday. And they should have won that game against the Hawks today, but no, they choked again. Ugh. Alabama's men's basketball coach Nate Oates maintains that he believes that the university and program made the right decision in continuing to allow star freshman Brandon Miller to play after his name appeared in connection with his shooting last month. Really now. We have taken this seriously since the beginning. The first minute I received the information from athletic director Greg Byrne. We discussed it and the severity of it, Oates said at a news conference on Friday. I thought Greg did a great job addressing those comments on Wednesday, and there was not much else to add to that. Miller's name was mentioned in a testimony on Tuesday by investigator Brandon Culpepper as having driven the vehicle containing the gun used in his shooting by his former teammate Darius Miles, who asked Miller to bring in the weapon. Miles, who had been removed from the program, and Michael Lynn Davis faced capital murder charges in the death of Jamia Joni Harris on the morning of January 15th near the campus. Miles admitted to providing the gun used in the shooting, according to investigators, but said Davis fired the weapon. Miller was not charged with the crime, and Tuscaloosa Police Chief DA Paula Whitney said there was nothing else we can charge him with. Byrne told the ESPN interview on Wednesday that some of the new information that emerged, such as the text messages of Miles asking Miller to bring the gun, the scene affected the decision to allow Miller to play against South Carolina on Wednesday. Miller went on to score 41 points for Alabama in an overtime win over South Carolina, the most points scored by a freshman in school history. Yeah, but you got a mark on you now, buddy. All right. Well, this one is a little bit personal to me since I am from New Jersey and my nephew goes to Seton Hall. Oh boy, this is going to be ugly. Xavier's much needed victory against my Seton Hall Pirates ended ugly as players from both teams came together in front of the scorer's table when Xavier guard Sully Brown and Pirates freshman Jaquan Sanders started jawing at each other. Coaches and teammates did their best to break up the scuffle between the two players and exchange heated words with just a few seconds remaining in the game, which was out of reach for Seton Hall. And it looked like things were going to escalate. Pirates head coach Shaheen Holloway was not happy about a three-point attempt by Bohm. With the game having under 30 seconds left, Holloway waved his arms and refused to shake hands with Xavier coach Sean Miller after the game. Well, you should do that regardless of the result anyway, just to show sportsmanship. Bohm and Sanders received technical fouls. Pirates forward KC Defo was ejected for leaving the bench. Bohm said the Pirate players were acting tough in the final seconds, and his team was not going to stand for it. Just two teams getting into it, Bohm said after beating the Pirates. These guys act tough, and I won't stand for that. This team is not going for that. We are not going to get punked off the court.
Just
like
a
that.
lack of sportsmanship.
Exactly. Miller said he did not know what happened and was just happy to get out with a win. And he downplayed the Holloway brush-off. I don't have any problems with coaches, Miller said. Holloway did apologize for the way the game ended and takes full responsibility for his actions. Yeah, don't you think you're a little late on that, buddy? We should have done it in the first place. Yeah, so I call it a game of basket brawl. Panthers goaltender Spencer Knight is out as he receives care from the league's player assistance program. The league and the Player Association made the announcement on his absence on Friday. Knight will continue to be paid, and he will be able to return to play once he's cleared by the league administrators. Knight was sent to the Charlotte Checkers of the AHL early in the week to clear up cap space as forward Anthony Duclair returns following his ACL tear. This is his second full season with the Knights, appearing in 21 games with 19 starts, with a 9-8-3 record, or if you want to put it another way, 9-11 record without the shootout or overtime losses, and a goal against average of 3.18. So to the technicality. All right. Well, if you thought last weekend's All-Star game had a lot of high scoring, then you should have seen Friday night's game against the Kings and the Clippers. So, oh boy, you gotta see this one. Russell Westbrook got off to an impressive start his Clippers debut, but the Kings and Clippers were not finished after he fouled out of the game in the second overtime period. It was a breathtaking finish and was the highest combined score in the league this season and the second overall as the Kings held up the Clippers, ready for this, guys? 178 to 175. That is not a misprint, guys. That was the final score. Not only was the crowd amazed, but several members of the Clippers said they never saw a game like that before. Neither have I. Well, maybe once. Westbrook had 17 points and 14 assists before he fouled out. He said, I don't think I've ever been part of a game with that many points coming out of the All-Star break. The only other game higher than that was a 1983 triple overtime game between the Pistons and the Nuggets, which was 186 to 184. Wow. Both teams shot 58.6% or better from the floor, and 44 three-pointers were made. Kawhi Leonard had his best game since his ACL tear against the Jazz in a playoff game in 2021, finishing with 44 points and was 16 for 22 shooting, along with 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and a partridge in a pear tree. No. De'Aaron Fox had 42 points and 12 assists. Malik Monk, 45 points and 6 assists, and that was coming up the Kings bench. Wow. The Clippers had a 14-point lead with less than 5 minutes of regulation, but turned the ball over 4 straight times. That led to a 22-8 run by the Kings. Monk then hit a three-pointer that sent the game to the first overtime period. The Clippers led by 6 in the second overtime period, but could not hold the lead as the Kings scored the last 7 points. The Clippers finished with 25 turnovers that turned into 42 points for the Kings, meaning once again the Clippers are, of course, the league's best at being the choke artists. As I've often said about that. They are a bunch of choke artists. All right.
You saw on my screen.
I think I did. Ole Miss fired men's basketball coach Kermit the Frog Davis with a week to go in the regular season. The firing was announced on Friday. No one wanted to bring a title home more to Mississippi than him, and we appreciate the passion for the goal they share with his players every day. Assistant coach Win Case will take over as interim coach for what is left of their season. Davis was in his 5th season at Ole Miss. He took the Rebels to a tournament berth in his first year, finishing 20-13 overall, 10-8 in the SEC, and entered as an 8th seeded team. However, the Rebels have not made the tournament since then and have gone 22-47 in the last 4 years. Not good. They made a late start to one, but had to settle for that other tournament. You call that the NIT. Entering the weekend, Ole Miss was 10-18 overall and 2-13 in the SEC and tied for last in the conference. Okay. Not good. Okay. Men's USA basketball is heading to the FIBA World Cup tournament this summer. I said FIBA, not FIFA. The U.S. squad earned a berth as they defeated Uruguay on Friday. Langston Galloway, who played in more qualifying minutes than any other player in the cycle, took over down the stretch. He scored 11 points in the fourth that led to an 8-0 run that included a rare 4-point play that clinched the victory and the berth. Galloway said he could not have felt more proud of his team. I'm ready to represent Team USA across my chest and my teammates who have been on this journey. We accomplished the task at hand, which was ready to qualify for the World Cup. Galloway scored 21 points for the U.S., which played their final match against Brazil, which was today. The U.S. Will play in the Philippines throughout the World Cup tournament. This ends a process of 15 months, playing 11 games using 6 different rosters with 52 different players. It is assured that none of these players will be in the tournament, with the exception of Galloway, as Team USA will be comprised of NBA players. Yeah. Let's hope that you can do better than you did the last time. Right. Let's go over some more things here. So, star third baseman Manny Machado and the Padres are finalizing a deal worth $350 million over the next 11 years, sources told ESPN. Machado said earlier this week that he would opt out of the final 5 years of his $150 million of his contract following the season, and primarily with Machado set a February 16th deadline to reach a new deal. Conversation between his agent Dan Lanzo of MVP Sports and general manager AJ Perel continued. The deal is expected to be official soon. Machado came off his best season with 32 home runs and 102 RBIs and finished second in National League MVP voting as the Padres were ousted by the Phillies in the NLCS. Machado's arrival in San Diego in 2018 on a 10-year, $300 million deal signaled a new era for the Padres, who still have yet to win their first World Series in their 54-year history. Shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. joined the Padres as a rookie in Machado's first season. And though they struggled at 70 and 92 last season, they thrived in the pandemic 2020 season with the acquisition of outfielder Juan Soto and shortstop Alexander Bogarts to an 11-year, $280 million deal. Ah, well. Yeah. Padres reportedly signed, there's a little bit of note here I'm getting here from the fan. He reportedly signed to a 5-year, $170 million extension. All right. All right, some interesting news here. Tennis superstar Serena Williams received the Jackie Robinson Award, and Phoenix Mercury star Brittany Griner were honored at the NAACP Image Awards last night. Williams, who has won 23 Grand Slam titles, was honored not just for achievements in tennis, but for pursuit of social justice, civil rights, and community involvement. Previous award winners were Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Stephen Curry, and track star Wilma Rudolph. Williams said she felt humbled to be among some of the greatest names in today's culture, celebrating those who promote equality through creative endeavors. Griner was honored by host Queen Latifah, who is from New Jersey, made an appearance with her wife Cheryl. Griner was in prison for much of last year in Russia for a small amount of cannabis found in vape cartridges she brought into the country. She was released in December. Griner missed all 2020 of the 2022 WNBA season, but will return for the 2023 season, which begins in May. Thank goodness. All right, the Jaguars have agreed to a 3-year extension with defensive tackle Roy Robertson Harris. That was confirmed today. He had 1 year left in his $24.3 million remaining on his previous deal, which was $14 million in guaranteed money that he signed in March of 2021. The extension takes him to 2025 and will lighten up the cap space for this season. The Jaguars need to clear $31 million to get under the cap. The extension was first reported by the NFL Network. Robertson had 45 tackles and 12 hits last season for the Jaguars and recorded 3 sacks in each of his last 2 seasons. Mighty impressive. Okay, Miami Dolphins cornerback Brian Jones sent on social media yesterday that he can't run or jump due to his injuries that has sustained him throughout his career. Jones, who missed all of last season after surgery on his ACL, said he has been honored to play in the NFL, but it came with a price. Much has changed in his 8 years of playing. I can't run or jump because of the injuries he had sustained during his time of playing. He said, "Do not take the pills or injections they give you. If you must take them, consult your doctor to learn more about possible implications." Despite his comments, Jones says he is not retiring. Jones underwent surgery last March to clean up a lingering issue that he felt back in 2021. A source told ESPN that Jones will be ready for camp in July, but was not activated off the PUP list. The former first-round pick by the Cowboys in 2015, Jones signed a 5-year, $82 million deal in 2020. He represents $18.3 million cap hit for 2023, but the Dolphins can save $13.6 million if traded or released by July 1st. And remember that key word, people, if. Okay. Well, we got 2 items on the pitch clock here. I knew this was going to be a problem. All right. Cal Connolly of the Braves thought he had the game won with a 2-out bases loaded walk in yesterday's game. He took a few steps toward first base with the bat in hand when umpire John Lipka jumped out from behind the plate and called "strike 3." Connolly could not believe it, and neither could his teammates and fans, as they were booing, of course. This is part of the new MLB rules to speed up the pace of play, and not everyone seems to be pleased. I'm not surprised. The most dramatic moment came on the first full day of games of spring training, as Connolly faced Red Sox reliever Robert Kozlowski and was not sent in the batter's box as the clock was under 8 seconds. The penalty was an automatic strike, which led to a 6-6 tie. He got the strikeout after only throwing 2 real pitches. It was even more dramatic when Manny Machado became the first player. Became the first player to receive a violation on Friday, as he was called for an automatic strike, as when he was not set at the batter's box and time in the bottom of the first on Friday's game. The pitch clock was put in place to speed up games. In case you forget, here is a rundown of the rules. Players have 30 seconds to resume play between batters. Between the pitchers have 15 seconds with bases empty and 20 seconds with a runner or runners on base. If there is a base runner, the pitcher must start his delivery before the clock expires. After the pitch, the clock restarts when the pitcher has the ball back. The catcher and batter are around home plate is otherwise ready to resume. Of course, some of you people haven't figured that out yet, and it'll probably take about till about a month into the regular season before they do get that all straightened out. Some of you might think it might take a little bit longer, but you know. All right. The Kansas City Chiefs promote Matt Nagy to offensive coordinator as he replaces Eric Bieniemy. Nagy was the offensive coordinator on Andy Reid's staff in the 2016 and 2017 seasons when Alex Smith was the quarterback. Anybody remember him? Nagy then left the Chiefs to become the head coach of the Chicago Bears, or some of you say the Bears. He finished with a 34-31 record and guided them to a division title in his first season as head coach in 2018 and named Coach of the Year, but was 0-2 in the playoffs, including a wild card loss in 2020. Nagy was fired by the Bears in 2021 after a 6-11 season. Well, my brother's not happy with that. He returned to the Chiefs last season as a quarterbacks coach and senior offensive assistant. Before becoming the Chiefs offensive coordinator the first time, Nagy coached under Reid for 6 seasons, 3 with the Eagles, and 3 as the Chiefs quarterbacks coach. And they say he can't go home again. Ah! All right. When the new Cardinals coach Jonathan Gannon walked to his car around 9 p.m. on Tuesday, he saw a nice-looking automobile parked next to his, not sure it belonged to. Gannon walked back to find quarterback Kyler Murray still rehabbing his right knee. He had been very eager to attack his rehab the way he needs to attack it and get back to being himself, said Gannon. Murray is on schedule with his rehab, which was moved from Dallas, where the surgery took place on January 3rd, to the Cardinals facility. Gannon said he is doing what needs to be done. However, Gannon did not set a timetable as to when Murray would return. Before he was fired in January, former coach Cliff Kingsbury said Murray would not be ready for week 1. Gannon said, "I'm not going to put a timetable on. When Kyler is ready to play, he will be ready." After all, this is Kyler Murray we're talking about. With his status for the start of the new season in question, the Cardinals head off into the offseason to prepare Murray for a new offense in the classroom and new offensive coordinator Drew Hudson said. He was introduced as the new offensive coordinator on Friday. The Titans made several moves to get under the salary cap on Wednesday by releasing left tackle Taylor Lewin, wide receiver Robert Woods, linebacker Zach Cunningham, and kicker Randy Bullock. Wow. The Titans had about $23.3 million left over the cap before Wednesday's moves. 4 players. Wow. By releasing the Big Four, the Titans will save $37 million over the cap. Lewin, a 3-time Pro Bowler offensive lineman, was selected 11th in the 2014 draft and was entering the final year with his 5-year, $80 million deal. He is the longest tenured player on the Titans, but Lewin also had 2 surgeries in the last 3 seasons, limiting him to just 20 games over 3 seasons. His latest was an ACL tear in week 2 against the Bills. The Titans traded a 2023 sixth round pick to the Rams to get Woods, who came off an ACL tear in November of 2021. The Titans claimed Cunningham off of waivers after being released by the Texans. An elbow injury kept him out of 11 out of 17 games last season, and only had 24 tackles at that. So, well, when you miss, 11 games, that's kind of hard. All right, as the World Baseball Classic gets underway, fans will see two different versions depending on where the games will be played, either whether the games will be held in the U.S., Japan, or Taiwan. In the U.S. and Taiwan, fans can cheer without wearing masks, as Taiwan dropped the mask mandates last week. As for Japan, well, that's a bit more complicated, as COVID pandemic rules are changing more slowly. Cheering will be allowed, but masks must still be worn at all the games in Japan. The first 3 days begin in Taiwan, and Japan, March 8th to the 10th. The U.S. begins play on March 11th in Miami and Phoenix. The tournament that allows 20 national teams ends on March 21st. In Miami, the powers of Asia include Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Australia. Don't ask me why Australia's in that. I did not make this up. How they got in the Asian bracket. Latin America have Colombia, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, the largest number of teams in the brackets. The U.S. and Canada will also be represented by strong teams. No, that's next week then. Wow. Yeah. And Fox will have some of those games this time around, so that's going to be kind of interesting. But it'll be late at night, so, All right, so after one season together, Bobby Wagner is screwing up with the Rams. While the Rams owing $13.7 million over the cap, heading towards the new league year, according to the roster management system, the Rams and Wagner agreed to part ways on Thursday. When the release becomes official, the Rams will save $5 million in cap space, but will also incur $7.5 million in dead money charge. The Rams have the option of designating Wagner to post June 1st release that would save the team $8 million in cap space, but the savings cannot be credited until this summer. If Wagner had remained on the roster on the 5th day of the new league year, his $7.5 base salary and $2.5 million signing bonus would have been a guarantee. Wagner joined the Rams after signing a $50 million deal with $20 million in guaranteed money. Bryce Harper's arrival at spring training remains a few weeks away as the Phillies slugger returns from elbow surgery. Phillies president Dave Dombrowski said on Thursday that Harper is taking swings as off-season home in Las Vegas and will report to camp by either March 8th or March 9th. Harper had surgery on his right elbow in November after leading his team to the NL pennant, only to lose to the Astros in the World Series. Ugh. The Phillies then said Harper was expected to return in a DH role by the All-Star break and could play at right field by season's end. Manager Rob Thomas said the next step in rehab is to hit the ball off a tee and take soft tosses in a batting cage. Harper's sustained a small tear in his UCL last April. He last played at right field against the Marlins. Great. Yeah. Well. Okay. And I believe he did have Tommy John surgery as well. To add that to the problem. All right. As for your idiot of the week, Georgia linebacker Jamon Dumas. John was arrested on misdemeanor charges of racing on highway streets and reckless driving That according to Athens County Jail booking records. Sources confirmed ESPN that an incident involving Dumas Johnson on January 10th, a day after Georgia won the national championship over TCU in a good old-fashioned romp. In a statement issued, the university said that he did not mention Dumas Johnson by name, but they were aware of the incident. What a boob. The alleged conduct does not reflect our program's values or standards that we established. As this is an open matter of involving a student, we are not able to provide any additional information at this time, and will continue to cooperate with law enforcement. Johnson was a finalist for the Butkus Award as a top linebacker in college football, and was booked at the jail shortly after 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, but was released about 45 minutes later, according to the booking records. And Aaron Rodgers has come out of the darkness, according to the owner of the Southern Oregon retreat where the quarterback was staying. Scott Berman, who owns Sky Cave Retreats, said Rodgers left the retreat on Thursday. Before entering the retreat, Rodgers said in the Pat McAfee show last week that he scheduled 4 days and nights in darkness and isolation, hoping to have a better sense of his life. Rodgers said he was not going to retreat to determine if he would play or not in 2023. Rodgers is still under contract with the Packers for $59 million for the 2023 season. The four-time MVP has played his entire career with the Packers, which has lasted 18 seasons. Team president Mark Murphy said earlier this month there was no timetable for Rodgers to make a decision. At least one team, the Jets, made inquiries about trading for Rodgers. Well, I'll believe that when I see it. So they're going to pull another Brett Favre? Well, I don't know. Yeah, another Brett Favre. Well, he did give it a 10. He did give it a 10-6 season that year, but still, we didn't qualify for the playoffs. So he did give us a good effort. So I'll give him that. But other than that, it was just a...
Do you think Aaron Rodgers will retire?
My guess is I think he will retire. He has lost his step and whatnot. I think he's still ticked off about not getting the job on Jeopardy and whatnot, and his playing career has suffered and all that. So I think it's going to be his last year. I mean, he is almost 40 years old, which in a quarterback, is pretty much up there in old age.
I'm going to turn
Right.
I'm going to turn 39.
Right, but you're not a quarterback for the NFL.
Right.
Right. When you reach that age, they consider you old. If you're 45 and still play, you're considered ancient. Good boys. Yeah. I mean, it's not that. I mean, but I will give him credit for the longevity he has portrayed, playing 18 years in the league. So, I gotta give him credit for that. But some people don't know when to hang it up.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
see it right. Yeah. So we'll find out soon enough. It'll be a beautiful day in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Oh boy. Okay. I know. That was bad. I can hear the boos already. Sheesh. All right. So Matt's gonna wrap up for me for this, and I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. So that's True Sports episode 39. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Louis Tenora. We'll be back Sunday night at 10. Till then, ta-ta for now.
Good night, folks.